Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Peacetime session with Ven.Dr. Nicholas Thanissaro. So today's topic is the logic of karma, and I realized that I made a misannouncement last week. So if you haven't noticed, our usual programming does run throughout the week, but however, we have two teaching monks who are currently in Thailand. And therefore, two of our sessions, the Tuesday and Wednesday evening sessions, are temporarily on hold until the middle of June. Our new schedule is as follows. It will be Thursday evenings when Venerable Sopan from 8 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. Friday evenings, which is silent meditation. So there's no teaching monk on duty to provide guided meditation. That will be 8 to 9 p.m. And on Sunday mornings with Venerable Nicholas at 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you're attending these sessions for the first time, you can catch all of these peace breaks on Peace Point Meditation's YouTube, Phra Nicholas's YouTube, on Peace Point Meditation's Facebook page, or through Zoom. It's typically the same user Zoom ID as the one we're using now, the same passcode. Once a month, we just passed for April, but we also have a full moon meditation, which is usually with the same Zoom ID as well. So catch that next month. For those of you who feel that you want more meditation, not because our weekly programmings are not enough, you can definitely look at the content that is posted on our Peace Point Meditation Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our website. And for those of you who want something more mobile, we also have an app and a website called the MindGem app. You can go to mindgem.org to explore more Zoom programs from all the Dhammakaya centers in the United States. So you can create that community online. Okay. So today, before we begin our guided meditation and wisdom talk with Venerable Nicholas on the logic of karma, I'd like to invite you to do a short stretching session. Let's just get numbered up before we sit and meditate so that we can try to achieve some inner peace.
The next few poses will be done in a standing position. Please move slowly and at your own pace. Keep the sturdy chair nearby for balance if needed. If you find that I'm talking faster than you are moving, please take your time and do fewer repetitions. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Place the feet about hips-width apart and grounded on the floor. Lift the toes and spread them nice and wide and feel the navel pull gently in towards the spine. Push the toes into the floor and lean forward just a little bit. Feel the muscles that keep you steady. Lean back just a little bit and feel the toes come up. Feel the muscles that keep you steady in this position. Now push all four corners of the feet into the floor. Notice the steadiness of mountain pose. Notice how the steadiness of mountain pose feels. On the next inhale, roll the shoulders towards the ears, back and down so the shoulders are slightly open. Let the palms rest open to the side. Inhale and let the arms rise with the palms facing up. Exhale, bend at the elbows and allow the hands to come down the center line. Sink into the knees just a little. Repeat this again. Inhale, lift the arms with the palms facing up. Allow the hands and face to be relaxed. Continue with this movement at your own pace. Breathe as you move and try to coordinate the breath with the movement. On the next breath, lift the arms back over the head. Fingertips point in, palms face up. Imagine that you have candles in the palms of your hands and you do not want to spill them. Turn the fingertips so they face behind you. The palms remain up. Turn the fingertips to the side and then to the front like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again, towards one another, and then forwards like an offering, then out to the side walls. Breathe as you move, up to the top with the fingers facing in again. Let's do this rotation one more time. After the second rotation, allow the hands to cascade down by the side and let them rest. Pause for one slow inhale and exhale. One more breath. Inhale, exhale. This next exercise is excellent for strengthening the spine and gently stretching the muscles of the back, front, and sides. Attempt to make the movement easeful and gentle. We will do these movements with various arm positions. The first arm position is the easiest. Please be sure to stay with the one that feels best for your body. We will demonstrate them all. Take the right hand to the waist and then the left. Roll the shoulders open. And on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale to the center. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale back to the center. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And on the next inhale, gently pull the navel towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin and feel a sense of lengthening through the front of the body. On the next exhale, begin to fold gently forward. It does not have to be all the way. Bend the knees slightly. Inhale and rise back to a standing position. Open the left arm to the side. Keep the elbow bent. Leave the right hand on the waist. Inhale. Exhale, lean slightly to the right, and then return back to the center. Bring the left hand down to the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. Exhale and lengthen to the left. Return to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Gently pull the navel in towards the spine. Pull the shoulder blades softly together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward halfway. Inhale back to standing. Open the left arm again. Inhale, and on the exhale, lean to the right. Inhale and return back to the center. Place the left hand on the waist. Lift the right arm. Inhale. On the exhale, lean to the left. Inhale and return back to the center. Roll the shoulders open. Lengthen through the front of the body. Slightly pull the shoulder blades together. Get a small lift in the chin. Exhale and fold forward. Knees slightly bent. Inhale and return to standing in mountain pose. Pause for a moment. Inhale and exhale. For this warrior sequence, attempt to keep the movements gentle and relaxed. If you notice that you are struggling, move the feet closer together. Lower the arms or make the movements smaller. This pose is great for strengthening the legs, respiration, and opening the shoulders. Step the left foot forward just a few feet. The back foot points in at a 45-degree angle. The front knee bends and the hips face front if possible. Inhale, open the arms and bend at the elbows. On the exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards each other. Inhale, open the arms and push the heart softly forwards. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, bring the arms together. Inhale, open the arms to where you feel comfortable. Exhale, relax the arms inwards. Inhale, open and expand. Exhale, contract. Inhale, exhale. Bring the hands back down by the side, return to mountain pose. One breath here. Inhale, exhale. Step the right foot forward. Take a moment, there's no rush. Ground the back foot into the floor. Bend the front knee. When you are ready, open the arms. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands and elbows towards one another. Inhale, open the arms. This is a relaxed opening in the chest. Exhale, bring the hands and arms towards one another. Inhale, repeat again, creating spaciousness with a full inhale. Exhale, contract and relax the arms slightly. 2 more times at your own pace. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Let the hands rest down by the side and return back to mountain pose. Pause here for a few breaths.
And Venerable Dr. Nicholas will be coming on in a few moments. While we await his arrival, I'd just like to give a brief bio about Venerable in case anyone here is joining us for the first time. So, Venerable Dr. Nicholas Thanissaro is from the United Kingdom, and he's been a monk for over 20 years with over 30 years of meditation experience. He has pioneered courses in Europe since 1997. He has also released many books and articles and has made a guest TV appearance in the UK. He is also a United Kingdom Complementary Medical Associate, qualified teacher of meditation. So he has a lot of wisdom to share. So we are very lucky to have him and share his wisdom today, as well as guide us in meditation. So I hope you enjoy the topic, and he'll be here with us shortly.
Welcome back to the 28th online episode of Peacetime, hosted every Sunday morning by Peace Point with myself, Phra Nicholas Thanissaro, live streaming from Dhammakaya International Meditation Center in Azusa, California. Today's session will be about an hour and 10 minutes long and will consist of a 25-minute talk and 20 minutes of meditation. finishing up with 25 minutes of conclusion, answers to viewer questions submitted in advance, and news updates. Last time you saw me, we looked at Buddhist historicity. With the Dhamma talk today, we will continue with our exploration of living Buddhism with the topic of the logic of karma. As usual, this session, I would encourage you to send in any questions you have by emailing me at peacetime.questions@gmail.com so that I can have a shot at answering them next time round. In the last two sessions, I have described connections not traditionally made in science, for example, the connection between the quality of mind, life, and the environment. In this session, we will start to look at a further invisible connection between mind and coincidence, as described in the Buddhist logic of karma, and whether there is something that can be done to leverage this connection within the Buddhist understanding of salvation. Although, as mentioned 2 sessions ago, faith, especially blind faith, is not one of the central points of Buddhism, Buddhists do have confidence in a phenomenon called karma, or more familiarly, the law of cause and effect as it relates to ethics, as found in the Vibhanga, namely belief in karma or Dhamma sattha, belief in karmic retribution or Dhamma vipaka sattha, and belief in the individual ownership of action or Dhamma sakata sattha. A similar law of conservation of energy in thermodynamics states that energy in any system can't just disappear, but is retained in a different form. If, for example, a car is cruising along with a certain amount of momentum, when the brakes are applied and the car slows down, the energy that was momentum before has to turn into heat in the brake pads. Energy doesn't just disappear, it is transformed. And in a similar way, the sort of ethical energy invested by people in the things they intentionally choose to think, say, or do can't avoid creating a reaction once it has been performed. Conservation of energy as it relates to ethical or unethical actions would mean that the effects of a person's actions can't just disappear, but will eventually come back to haunt them. To use a more current expression, what goes around comes around. A credit card shopping spree might seem fun to someone at the beginning of the month, but it is unlikely that they will escape paying the bill sent to them at the month's end. Karmic connectedness underlies the Buddhist culture of taking responsibility for one's actions. A Buddhist definition of karma would mean the principle that wholesome intentional actions, words, and thoughts will sooner or later lead to wholesome outcomes for the doer. Unwholesome intentional actions, words, and thoughts will sooner or later lead to unwholesome outcomes for the doer. The case where unintentional actions might lead to retribution are discussed in this session, and there are also exceptional cases where karma may fail to give an outcome. Karma is also included in the vocabulary of other dharmic religions and has even found its way into the English dictionary these days. But the definition might not exactly match the way it's used in Buddhism. In the swinging 60s, if someone was having a bad day, people such as Bob Dylan would comment that they were having a whole lot of karma to burn, as if there were a black cloud following them around, like something outside their control and generally negative. However, in Buddhism, the word karma has the much simpler meaning of intentional action or action with consequences, rather than meaning the outcome or retribution of the karma, which would be termed Dhamma vipaka. Coincidences that happen to a person in the present are the result of their choices in the past, whereas choices they make in the present will affect the coincidences or outcomes awaiting them in the future, although it would appear from the scriptures that only certain proportion of things that happen to a person in life are attributable to their previous actions. So people shouldn't let belief in karma become fatalism, because firstly, people have a choice about what they do, and secondly, according to the discourse to Molya Sivaka in the Samyutta Nikaya, things may happen to us because of seasonal changes, disruptive circumstances, bile, phlegm, or the intervention of another person, as well as the fruition of one's individual karma. Although, as we've seen from the previous session, even the circumstances in our environment are, to some extent, deserved by us. That the results of actions return to the doer is common sense. If person A punches person B on the nose, person B will not just forget about it. Someday, when person A is walking along the road, person B will probably want to come and punch them back. Even if person A were absolved of their act of violence in a confessional, it won't reduce the smarting nose or the dinted pride of person B. For the karma doesn't just go away that easily. For Buddhists, and for the effects of deeds to be nullified suddenly by absolution makes little sense. Furthermore, if person A punches person B on the nose, the way karma works is that it tends to pay the deed forward. It might not be person B who eventually punches person A back. In fact, that person A has at some time harbored an intention sufficiently negative towards someone else in the world triggers off something inside person A that will attract punches of others in the future. The mechanism might make sense for overt actions such as the things people do or say. For example, if a parent tells lies and their children get used to hearing those lies, it might be no surprise if they start telling lies themselves, and the parents will eventually become victims of their deceit. What comes as a surprise to most people concerning karma is that even mere thoughts and states of mind can have karmic outcomes. If a person habitually harbors anger, it will attract certain dispositions into their life, where they are going to be angry more easily in the future, and thereby they will be thought about angrily by other people. Some people think that things happen by coincidence, because they can't identify the connection between things they've done in the past and things that are happening to them in the present. Buddhists would remind them not to forget that in the past might include previous lives that are beyond their immediate recall. Where the logic of karma in Buddhism becomes more complex than merely just the justice of the universe, it is important to grasp how karma can sometimes lead to disproportionate outcomes. Some small actions produce huge results, whereas some seemingly major actions produce negligible outcomes. This underlies the Buddhist expectation that despite an unknowably large burden of unexpiated karma in any person's past, that a person can escape from this, not by avoiding the production of any new karma in the Jain way, but by being savvy about different categories and functions of karmic action. In Buddhism, there are a lot of different ways to analyze the workings of karma, and we will analyze karma according to the Visuddhimagga and the Abhidhamma Sangha commentaries in 4 different ways. It's classification by polarity, classification by potency, classification in terms of precedence, and classification in terms of the way it combines. So let's start with the classification of karma in terms of its polarity, which means to say whether karma is positive or negative. The positive side of karma is generally referred to as wholesomeness. In Buddhism, to avoid judgmental connotations, good karma is generally termed wholesome or positive, whereas bad karma is generally termed unwholesome or negative rather than sin or evil. Examples of being wholesome might include being kind or compassionate to someone else if they have some sort of compassionate intention which comes out in something they say or do, then the fruits of that karma will come back to them in a positive form. If a person does things which are unwholesome, for example, speaking to people rudely, it will tend to come back to them in a negative way. There are also forms of karma that are neutral, which have no particular polarity. For example, pacing the room or twiddling your thumbs, which have no particular karmic consequences apart from lost time. In summary, the three basic polarities of karma comprise positive, negative, and neutral. Sometimes they are color-coded respectively as white, black, and gray. Most importantly, whatever sort of karma a person cultivates, it will come back to them and not someone else, with the same polarity. A person reaps what they sow. That is, if they plant corn seed, then they will reap corn rather than carrots. The second way of categorizing karma is in terms of its potency, because sometimes outcomes of karma seem disproportionate to the actions that caused them. There are three things that affect potency of karmic outcomes: the amount of effort, the strength of intention, and the amount of gratitude or ingratitude involved. To take the example of killing, the amount of effort invested in the act of killing will dictate the strength of the karmic fruits of that action. To kill a fly would be karmically less bad than killing an elephant, since killing a fly is a lot easier, requiring nothing more than a fly swatter or a rolled-up newspaper. To kill an elephant, however, may require days of planning and specialist equipment. For this reason, the potency of karmic outcome is in proportion to the amount of effort someone has to invest in an act of karma. A second consideration which makes an act of karma potent or otherwise is the strength of the intention behind the act. Karmic retribution from an act is proportional to the doer's strength of intention. If a person does a good act of karma in spite of a major obstacle, the fact that they have managed to follow through shows that they must have had a particularly strong intention to do that deed. Supposing a person likes to take a meal to feed the homeless on a weekly basis. If they have made up their mind that they're going to take up this plate of food to the homeless shelter, whatever it takes, but there is no traffic on the road and the sun is shining, they will amass a certain amount of good karma for themselves. However, if on a particular day it happens to be blowing a hurricane and they had to put their life on the line traveling through flood and high water to deliver the meal, the amount of food is the same as before, but owing to the greater obstacles they had to overcome intentionally, in the latter case, the amount of good karma accrued will be much greater. On the other hand, if a person's motivation for doing the deed is tainted with selfishness, perhaps wanting to be seen to be helping others, or having a TV crew follow them around when they're doing charity work, that person would accrue a mixture of good and bad karma. If that person were able to do the same good deed in a way that wasn't tainted with selfishness, it would produce better karma. In Thailand, there is a Buddhist saying expressing half-hearted admiration for people who like to stick gold leaf on the back of the Buddha statue. That it means to pay respect to the Buddha, choosing a place no one else will see it. Some people start out doing good deeds for reasons that are not entirely wholesome, like children who are bribed with candy to study hard rather than being motivated by success in their exams. In many Buddhist temples, the names of major benefactors are engraved on conspicuous wall plaques. Some might ask whether that spoils their good karma. But for entry-level good karma, such deal sweeteners, can make a difference between doing a nominally good deed or doing no good deeds at all. It to be expected that at some time in the future, when the sponsors delight in the goodness for its own sake, they would no longer care about conspicuous recognition. Those who have been attending a temple for many years might not care about whether they have been acknowledged or not. Buddhists generally consider it wrong to expect something in return when doing good deeds, particularly something material. Nonetheless, an ill-considered deed that fails to amass any good karma would defeat the objective for the doer. Consequently, Buddhists consider that it's unnecessary always to do good deeds secretly by always putting the gold leaf on the Buddha's back, or in a more biblical context, such as Matthew 6, verse 3, and not to let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. The final thing which affects how potent the karma might be is the amount of gratitude or ingratitude an action expresses. A dog which bites the hand it feeds would have worse karma than the one which bites the hand of a stranger, because the former action also expresses ingratitude. Old-fashioned thieves used to have certain standards of decency. If they had ever been treated nicely in someone's home, they would never consider going back to rob the place. The amount of gratitude or ingratitude expressed affects the potency of the karma amassed. These three factors explain why even two karmic actions that are apparently equal, like, let's say, donating $1, can have outcomes that are very different, yielding $1,000 worth of outcomes, or perhaps nothing at all. A third way of categorizing karma is the order of precedence, with which it gives outcomes. The categorization explains why some karma gives its outcomes more urgently than others. In terms of precedence, karma is divided into 4 different categories: heavy karma, karma close to death, habitual karma, and unintentional karma. They're put in this order because, all things being equal, if a person has all these sorts of karma in their personal history, it will be the heaviest category of karma on the bullet, which will give its fruits first. The most urgent sort of karma is, in giving its outcomes, is heavy karma, or guruka kamma. This category includes forms of karma which are so heinous that no matter how many other good or bad deeds a person has done in their life, karma in this category will always give its results first. In the Buddhist scripture, specifically in Parikuppa Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, 5 actions fall into this category of heavy karma in a negative way: matricide, patricide, merging an arahant, in other words, a fully enlightened disciple, harming a Buddha, since Buddhas cannot die by anyone else's hand, so the worst that can be done is to inflict harm. And to this respect, there's an example of a particularly nasty monk called Devadatta pushing a boulder over a cliff to fall on top of the Buddha because he wanted to have the leadership of the monastic community for himself. All that happened in this case was that a splinter of rock from the boulder bruised the Buddha's toe. A final form of heavy karma is causing a schism in the monastic community instead of preserving harmony. The 6th form of heavy negative karma, which is additionally mentioned in the Maitreya Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, is masquerading as a monk but having defected to another religion. In terms of positive heavy karma, having meditated until attaining the stages of enlightenment is also considered positive heavy karma. The second most urgent sort of karma is karma close to death, or asanya karma. At the moment a person is dying, they have the experience of their life flashing before them. If that person has led their life in a particular way, then they will tend to be left with a final impression about how their life has gone. They may be left with an intense feeling of regret about the bad things they have done, or on the contrary, a feeling of joy about all the good things which they've done. More usually, it will be a mixture of the two. Nonetheless, before they die, will have a very significant effect, since Buddhists believe it determines the sort of destination that person can expect when they pass away. For most people, the sort of thing they have done throughout their life will be exactly the same as the last impression left on their mind as they are dying. If they've been a terrible person all their life, normally they will be left with a sense of regret about how terrible they have been. But there are some exceptions. Some people may have led a terrible life, but if by some happy accident they manage to think of something positive as they're dying, they might manage to escape an unfortunate rebirth. On the other hand, some people have been virtuous throughout their lives, but if for some unfortunate reason they are left with a feeling of regret when they're dying, they may not make it to the fortunate realms. The third most urgent form of karma is habitual karma, known technically as bahula kamma or achina kamma. If a person has committed a karmic action on a one-off basis, whether good or bad, it will not be particularly influential because it may just be a mistake. Normally, a single action would not do much to change the course of a person's destiny. However, if that person does the same karmic action habitually, it will become much more urgent in giving outcomes. This principle works both in good and bad ways. If a person had only smoked a cigarette once in their life, it wouldn't count for much. However, if it becomes a regular habit where they are smoking 60 a day, the whole of that person's consciousness will be caught up with the act of smoking the whole of the time. It would become a much bigger factor in affecting their future. By the same token, if a person does good deeds on a regular basis, it will become much more urgent in bringing good karma back to them than good deeds done on a one-off basis. There are many aspects of Buddhist practice which emphasize incorporating positive activities into daily routines, whether it be meditation, chanting, being generous, or keeping the precepts. When Buddhists cultivate these practices on a habitual basis, they are motivated by the assumption that this makes the good karma much more likely to give an immediate outcome. The fourth and least urgent sort of karma is unintentional karma, or katata vapana kamma. Up to this point, for an action to count karmically, it needed to be intentional. However, in the absence of any more urgent karma, it may be the case that unintentional karma comes to the fore. Normally, the mistake of running over a cat, which had gone to sleep under a parked car, would not unduly influence the driver's karmic history. But if that person hadn't bothered checking before driving away, they leave themselves open to recklessness that might cause that karma to arise. Unintentional karma is always the last in the order of precedence. To give you a quick story to illustrate how unintentional karma can affect people, there was once an old monk who didn't have very good eyesight, and he was sewing his robe, and as he was sewing his robe, because he couldn't see very well, the needle pierced a louse which was in his robe, and it died. However, before it died, it harbored ill will and vengeance on its mind against the monk who had killed it. Unintentionally, of course. The monk didn't know anything about this at all, and as time went on, this louse had come to the end of its bad karma of being reborn as a louse, and it was reborn instead as a human being, but not in a very high stratum of society. It was born as a hunter. One day, when this hunter had grown up to adulthood, he was coming back from a working day in the forest with a spear. What did he see but a line of monks coming in the opposite direction? He thought to himself, "Oh, here are monks who are people like I am. Every day they do nothing but good deeds. How about me? I'm a person who every day of my life does nothing but bad deeds by killing animals in the forest. There's not one day of my life which I managed to keep even 5 precepts." So the thought occurred to him, how about just for one day, I will try to keep my 5 precepts pure. At least I will have something good in my personal history which I can think about when I'm dying. So with that thought, he discarded his spear into some bushes. Unfortunately, behind that line of bushes were some other monks. The place where the spear landed was impaled through the chest of one of those monks. Can you guess which monk it was? Well, exactly the same monk who was short-sighted, who had been sewing the robes in the hunter's previous lifetimes at Laos. Just as the monk had caused an unintentional death, he suffered an unintentional death himself. In such a case, all we can try to do is to avoid a similar fate, is to avoid being careless, to avoid doing unwholesome actions even unintentionally. A fourth and last way to categorize karma is to describe the way karma works in combination. It is a further categorization which explains why karma cannot be treated simplistically. Often newcomers assume that a single act of karma will cause a single act of retribution, but this is very rarely the case. Karma often combines to give collective outcomes. If a person's behavior has a mixture of good and bad deeds, then the unexpiated good and bad karma form two separate accounts. Supposing there is a person who is nice to others only for selfish reasons, the good part of their behavior is stored up in the positive account, but the selfish intention goes into the negative account. The good and bad parts don't cancel each other out. However, sometimes the positive and negative aspects of connected or separate karmic acts might come back to a person in combination, giving another 4 categories by which to understand karma. The first role karma can have in combination is main retribution, or janokam. Sometimes karma can be the main force in a combination of actions, giving its retribution, the outcomes of which will be modified by the retribution of lesser acts of karma. For example, a person who's done a lot of meditation in their past, when they are reborn as a child, will ensure that that child is intellectually gifted as the main retribution of the previous meditation. The second role karma can have in combination is consolidating retribution, or upatambaka kamma. Consolidating retribution combines with main retribution to double down in the same direction. Supposing, apart from having a strong habit of meditation, the same person was often benevolent in a previous life. The good karma of benevolence can consolidate the main karma which concerned intellect. For example, a child born gifted might have their educational results boosted still further by attracting scholarships, going from strength to strength because they have talent but also the opportunity to further their education. The third role karma can have in combination is opposing retribution, or upabilaka kamma. Opposing retribution combines with main retribution to reduce the effect of that main retribution. To modify our previous example, suppose apart from having a strong habit of meditation in a previous lifetime, instead of often being benevolent, that person was often stingy. In the present lifetime, if they apply for a study scholarship, they might be consistently passed over and lose the opportunity to further their education. In this case, the main retribution will be their meditation in the past life, but as this has been obstructed by the karma of their stinginess, their gift of intellect is not brought to fruition. The fourth and final role karma can have in combination is terminating retribution, or upakataka kamma. Terminating retribution acts to cut short main retribution in its tracks. This is concerned with the length of life a person has to receive the fruits of their karma. Everything may go swimmingly in their life, which means good main retribution, but they may have just a short life, which generally means terminating retribution of having broken the first precept. Their life might be curtailed by an unavoidable accident at an early age, suddenly bringing to an end an otherwise idyllic life. In the case of those who are aware of negative karma they have accrued in their past, The Buddhist prerogative is to turn over a new leaf rather than dwell on our past, and to make sure our present is filled with habitual positive deeds that are likely to give their fruits higher up the order of precedence. The subject of dealing with old bad karma is dealt with in more detail in a future session. In other words, the principle of dilution rather than absolution. So I'll come back to an example of terminating retribution from the scriptures in just a moment. But before we go further, let's take the opportunity to settle ourselves for 20 minutes of meditation. If you would like to find a comfortable sitting position for yourself now as you listen to my guidance. So when you're ready to begin, find a comfortable position for yourself. You might want to sit cross-legged, or you may want to sit with your back straight on a chair. In any case, close your eyes very gently. Breathe deeply to yourself and allow your body to become quite still and begin to relax. Become aware of any tension you're holding anywhere in your body. Notice and release that tension. Relax any tension in your entire scalp. Allow any tension to float away. Feel the lightness and relaxation coming down over your entire scalp. Similarly, allow your forehead to relax completely. Relax your eyes and the tiny muscles around your eyes. Relax the entire area of your head, whether it be your cheeks, your jaw, or the whole of your face. Make sure you're not inadvertently pulling a face. Then focus on your neck and any tension you're holding there. Allow all the muscles of your neck to become completely relaxed. Feel the tension melting away. Now allow this relaxation to continue down to your body, through your shoulders, relaxing them and melting away anything that keeps you from total relaxation. Allow this to happen naturally. This scanning of the body for relaxation will become second nature as you become more familiar with the practice. Continue to allow the relaxation to flow down your chest, to your stomach and your hips, relaxing everything in its path. Now become aware of all the muscles of your back. Allow the muscles to become totally relaxed and limp, freeing all stress and emotions held there. Feel how comfortable your entire body becomes. Turning our attention to relax our state of mind, notice how the relaxation soothes and comforts you. Notice any uncertainties or worries that you're holding in any part of your body. Allow them to come up into your consciousness, and one by one, release these thoughts and feelings. Feel how effortless it is to release them without any regret. Let all the thoughts go as you sink deeper and deeper into this loving, warm abyss of relaxation, freeing yourself from the burden of the difficulties, allowing you to experience true freedom. You begin to feel light, peaceful, and calm, clearing your mind little by little, relaxing your body, and with practice it becomes very easy to achieve a state of total relaxation. In this state, you will be completely peaceful and focus only on the moment of now. The state also allows profound rest in a short period of time. So allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper into profound rest and relaxation, beginning to let go deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed, down into serene relaxation, letting go of all concerns, focusing only on feeling free, deeper and deeper, to the deepest level of relaxation you can possibly achieve today. And with this perfectly relaxed state, which you've now achieved, it will be much easier for you to embark this time and every time you meditate from now on. So now we turn our attention inward in our usual way, as if inside our body is just an empty space, with no organs or tissues, muscles or bones, like a hollow space inside us. And in our mind we conjure up a feeling of the positive energy in our life, or feeling of empty space within us, filled with happiness and joy. And we imagine a bright, clear object like a shining sun, a star, maybe a diamond or a full moon, or a feeling as if such an object is present inside us, floating slowly downwards until it comes to rest somewhere round about the very center of our body. If anything distracts our attention away, we bring our awareness back to this central point each time. If the picture or feeling disappears, we can conjure up a new one. If thoughts return, we do our best to ignore them. And the whole time we feel whole and pure, as if we truly have a deep inner knowing that acknowledges that each and every one of us is special and extraordinary, wonderful and unique individuals with so much to do and experience in life. And we take the positivity within ourselves in order to magnify and multiply how positive we feel about ourselves, and to acknowledge how much we have to offer the world. If we are able to live up to our full potential and love ourselves completely, we can be the person we truly are in life. almost as if we wanted to start afresh and make our life into something wonderful, with a new feeling of peace and happiness, putting our past behind us, as if we're ready for something new and exciting, as we find that each day brings wonderful opportunities and happiness, as we start to put ourselves in touch with our own potential and beauty, as we live our lives authentically, as we are comfortable with ourselves, as we realize we don't have to try to be someone who we're not, because in any case we are special. We become open to new opportunities and life's blessings, as we realize that happiness comes from within and not from outside things. And we realize that although other people may offer a lot to us, but none of them can ever force us to feel or be or think anything we don't choose for ourselves. And with this newfound sense of independence, we honor our body and our own emotions. We find it easier to express our feelings day by day, feeling stronger and more confident in ourselves, living our own truth, feeling good about ourselves. And as we start to love ourselves and honor ourselves more and more, we find ourselves more in tune with our own ambitions and personal boundaries, with it becoming easier each day to uphold these boundaries. If we have things in our past that we're not so proud of, we can put these things behind us. We let go of our past as we turn toward a new day of excitement, opportunities, and happiness waiting for us. We don't let our past hold us prisoner, but we switch up to a future of happiness, joy, and abundance, generated by this positive energy of wholesome thoughts, speech, and action inside us, something known as merit, that in turn is generated by all the choices for the best things in our lives. So now for a few moments in silence, we keep our mind focused gently at the center of ourself with the inner object of our choice, something we can see or something we can feel. Each to our own practice now for a few more moments in silence until we come to the appropriate time. And to be our best selves, we allow the following affirmations to resonate at the deepest core of our being. In terms of self-esteem, may my confidence grow stronger each day so that I can become capable, powerful, and strong. May I know I am loved and be comfortable with who I am. May I realize that happiness comes from within and be truly happy. May I be in harmony with myself and choose to focus on good thoughts that move me towards success. May I honor myself, my feelings, my body, and my emotions, and be respectful of my own personal needs and boundaries. May each new day bring me excitement at new and wonderful opportunities. May I realize I am worthy and deserving of all good things. May I realize I am essentially a beautiful and a powerful individual. And in terms of fellow travelers on this spiritual path, allow the following affirmations to resonate in your heart. May I be encircled by love, peace, and wisdom, surrounded by loving, caring friends and family. May I attract good, wonderful things into my life. May I add value to others in my life, and thereby bring joy and fulfillment. May I feel gratitude for all things, people, and experiences in my life, and may this gratitude be steadfast. In terms of overcoming mistakes and controlling any negativity, entertain the following affirmations in your mind. May I forgive myself for any previous mistakes and be able to learn from them. May I be released from any negative thoughts that interfere with my moving forward into a brighter future. May I be in control of my life and my own experiences, always attentive to my thoughts and choosing them wisely so that I can be in control of how I react to what life throws at me. May I realize happiness is a choice and choose wisely. May I be released from lethargy that comes in the form of negative thinking and lazy habits. And finally, in terms of my spiritual quest, reflect on the following transcendental affirmations. May I be able to find time each day for quiet contemplation to restore and renew me. May I be inspired to spend time each day connected to this wise inner part of me and to the stillness within, allowing me to remain perfectly aligned with what is truly important to me in life. And having reflected on these positive affirmations, we allow our heart and mind to be filled with compassion, which reaches out to the whole of ourselves, reaches out beyond ourselves to our families, to our homes, to our colleagues, to the whole of our neighborhood and municipality, reaching out in ever-widening circles around us, to all sentient beings that we can see or that we are unable to see. We extend compassion and loving kindness to them all without exception. Although the merit is within our own minds, but if we practice it regularly, habitually, it becomes a part of who we are. It becomes a part of our character. It becomes a part of our personality. It even spills over and brushes off onto the people around us, just like our loving kindness, until the whole of our world will become a better place as a result. But if no single person in the world ever thinks of anything but their own selfish desires, then the future of the world will be hard to improve. But if each of us cultivates the best in our lives, chooses the best of intentions, words, and actions, before long the world will be turned around into a place that's more welcoming, abundant with opportunities, even for those around us who have less knowledge about merit energy than ourselves. So we focus on our meditation in this way, making our own wishes for ourselves or others for the last few moments of our practice together in silence. Sappa Buddhanupavena, Sappa Dhammanupavena, Sappa Sankhanupavena Sattha Soti Bhavantu Te. So if you'd like to come to the end of your meditation for today, you can gradually open your eyes again. If you feel at all uncomfortable, then slowly try changing to a more comfortable position and gently finish your practice. So to return to the subject of terminating retribution, the Angulimala Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya gives us a really good illustration of how terminating karma works in a good way. Sometimes a person may have some sort of karma which is so extreme that it completely terminates the effect of the opposing karma. The story I'm referring to tells of a guy called Ahimsaka, which ironically means non-violent, who got the new nickname Angulimala, which means a necklace made of fingers, because he became a robber who collected the thumbs of his victims as trophies and made a necklace out of them to wear. It may sound a bit like the movie The Bone Collector. So, to cut a long story short, this guy started out as an exemplary student, but because he did so well in school, his fellow students became jealous of him, and they persuaded the teacher to give this guy an impossibly dangerous task so they could get rid of him completely. So the teacher set Angulimala an assignment that was a condition for his graduation. The assignment was to go out and kill 1,000 people and bring back proof. So, still very obedient to his teacher, he went out and started on his assignment. He went around the countryside, hacking people down with a sword and collecting up their fingers to prove that he was getting close to his target of 1,000. He created such havoc in that country where the Buddha was also living that he became public enemy number 1, and the king had to call out the army to track Angulimala down in an attempt to capture him. Each morning, the Buddha would habitually meditate and to try to find out who his teaching could help the most that day. That morning, when the Buddha was meditating, within his meditation, he saw Angulimala was going to be tempted to kill his own mother for the 1,000th finger, which he needed to go around his neck. What we now know about killing one's mother is that it is heavy karma. If he commits an act of heavy karma, then he's going to be swallowed up by the earth, or his head is going to be split into 7 pieces or something worse. He would be beyond help even by a Buddha. So the Buddha had to find a way to intervene, to stop him killing his mother, so that he could still have some hope of salvation, because what the Buddha had seen in his meditation was that this guy, Angulimala, in spite of his crimes, had the potential for enlightenment. So the Buddha went to Angulimala and appeared between Angulimala and Angulimala's mother. His mother was actually coming out to warn Angulimala that the king and the army were on their way. She didn't want her son to be captured by the king. When Angulimala saw the fingers of the Buddha were special, all the same length and very beautiful, he forgot about his mother completely. He thought, this sort of finger will make a great finishing touch to my necklace. So immediately he set out running after the Buddha, brandishing his sword above his head. The Buddha appeared to Angulimala, walking slowly away from him. But no matter how fast Angulimala ran, he could never catch up with the Buddha, who seemed to be walking at a very slow pace in front of him. Until eventually Angulimala was so covered with sweat and so irritated that he called out to the Buddha, "Stop, monk, stop." So the Buddha said to him, "But I have stopped. It's you who have not stopped." Angulimala said to himself, "This can't be true. I've been running as fast as I can, and I still can't catch up with him. How can he say he's stopped?" The Buddha knew what he was thinking and continued, "The reason why I say I have stopped is because I have stopped doing evil things. I am beyond doing evil things. But you have not stopped. You are still killing people. You are still caught up in aggression." These words struck a note with Angulimala, and he suddenly realized how mistaken he had been since he had started his assignment. He threw down his sword and asked the Buddha for permission to ordain as a monk. The Buddha allowed him to do this, and within a very short period of time, even though his main or principal karma was killing 999 people, which is quite serious karma to say the least, but not quite heavy karma, because he didn't kill his mum, he had the extremely good terminating retribution of having become enlightened as an arahant, which put an end to any form of retribution which he might receive as a result of the aggressions which he had done. Since he wasn't going to be reborn anymore because of his terminating retribution, you could say that he got away with it. It is like having no forwarding address to send the credit card bill to. In fact, he did have a bit of bad karma. People threw rocks and stones at him every time he went for his alms round, because they still remembered how bad he used to be, and his bowl was broken. So he did have some karma coming back to him, but it was much less than normally we would expect for someone who had wreaked so much havoc throughout his life. So this is an example of how terminating retribution can work. If it wasn't possible to break free of our past, then it would be a bit of a waste of time practicing Buddhism. But the Buddha explains that it is possible to make a break with our past, no matter how bad it might be. It's just a question of time. So let me finish up with a few reflections about the way the logic of karma should be understood. The first advice on the logic of karma is that we need to apply karma with compassion. As we've seen, even without considering effects of karma across lifetimes, karma can be categorized in 14 different ways. Karma is something that on the surface looks easy to understand, but how easy it is to get it wrong was brought to the media limelight in 1999 by a public figure, the soccer coach of the English national team, called Glenn Hoddle, who used his understanding of karma, seeing as he'd just recently become a Buddhist, to claim that the mentally handicapped only have themselves to blame. Even if karma might lead a Buddhist to suspect the causation of a certain sort of retribution, they should remind themselves that karma is intended to be used as a predictor, so that Buddhists can make better choices about the things they think, say, and do in the present time, in order to make their future brighter, and be able to avoid doing things in the present time that will be able to prevent them from experiencing regrets in the future. The predictive quality of karma is the reason the Buddha taught it. He didn't teach karma so that Buddhists could attach blame to someone who is experiencing bad luck in the present time and add insult to injury. Thoughtless application of the logic of karma, such as that of Glenn Hoddle, lacks the tact and compassion that is usually the hallmark of Buddhist values. In practice, although a Buddhist might know at the back of their mind the sort of karmic acts that cause people to have problems, They should use such knowledge to warn themselves against unskillful actions of their own, not to judge other people. Karma is thus designed to be a forward-pointing arrow, to lead people to make better choices in their present, to design their own future to be a brighter one. The second misapprehension newcomers often have is that karma is supposed to be fair. Despite the appeal of fair play in all things, it should be pointed out that often karma does not seem to offer a nice or fair learning experience. The Buddha cannot be blamed for this, as he always positioned himself as a discoverer of the nature of reality rather than its designer. He described patterns of causality that already existed long before he arose in the world. Buddhists see karma as an existential state to be worked around. At the very least, given a proper understanding of karmic dynamics presented in Buddhist teachings, karma appears to be predictable. If a person knows how karma works, they can minimize suffering at the hands of karma by trying to make ethically better choices. Karma can be nasty because sometimes the consequences can seem to be out of proportion to the karmic deed that triggered them. Karma can therefore appear cruel by the nature of retribution that seems to come from seemingly trivial actions. The way karma works only appears unfair in the absence of an awareness of the bigger picture, especially the karma a person brings with them into the world at childhood. Although negotiating karma without recklessness may seem precarious, it is possible for a person to turn karma in their favor. Even bad karma, like a heavy stone that usually sinks to the bottom of an ocean, but loaded into a well-designed ship and carefully steered, can be brought safely to the far shore of enlightenment. And lastly, it's worth pointing out a few points about the phenomenon of collective karma. Although karma is generally individually caused and expiated, there are cases where whole communities appear to experience karmic retribution en masse. Sometimes this can be karma by association. Sometimes it can be because people with similar karmic track records gravitate to live together in the same place or country. Thus, natural disasters take a toll on the whole population at once. Sometimes even the karmically innocent are drawn into danger as bystanders. Where karma seems to affect whole countries, it can be also caused by passive assent to the karmically negative policies of governments that they might not have personally voted for. So, to conclude this session, we have been looking at 4 different ways to categorize karma. We have looked at karma in terms of its classification by polarity, classification by potency, classification in terms of precedence, and classification in terms of the way it combines. These classifications have helped us avoid a simplistic interpretation of karma, but have explained why karmic actions can be disproportionate in their outcomes, and this will help us to understand a way of working around karma in the ethical choices we make about our lives. So, to assist us further in these choices, the next session from me will concentrate on wholesome karma and how Buddhists believe they can cultivate this. And the session after that will deal with ways to avoid unwholesome karma. So we come to time for some answers to the questions sent in by viewers. This week, the question comes from Teresa Ku of Los Angeles. Here comes the question. The teaching of metaphysical concepts could be selected or manipulated by religious leaders or teachers. I wonder whether it's possible to know or compare the metaphysical experience from different pure-minded, high-level religious practitioners and see whether they are similar. Hi, Teresa, and thank you for another stimulating question. It is certainly possible to compare the metaphysical experiences between different religious traditions. Even some experiences that come from high-level practitioners from antagonistic religious traditions like, say, Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. I think you might have less luck, however, when comparing the metaphysical concepts from these traditions. For example, I am presently reading an interesting compilation of 15 testimonies from different spiritual and non-spiritual traditions about the phenomenon of inner light from a 1992 book by William E. Williams entitled Unbounded Light, The Inward Journey. A more classic example of a similar sort of way of comparing is William James's pioneering 1902 book, The Varieties of Religious Experience, which is still in print and arranges mystical experiences from various traditions, from basic to advanced. Many of the mystics who describe their experiences were not just charismatics or desperados, but described their experiences at great personal risk to their lives. For example, when the 14th century Catholic priest Meister Eckhart spoke openly about his direct spiritual experiences, the Pope condemned him for wishing to know more than he should, which was not good in the days of the Spanish Inquisition. Even today, the path toward higher consciousness is dark and controversial. Phenomena like inner light are dismissed as mere hallucination by some modern-day neurophysicists, and mystical experiences generally continue to provoke accusations of blasphemy from some fundamentalist religious quarters where it is equated with the dark side of the occult. So, to prove to your own satisfaction whether mystical experience is real or imaginary, the best you can do is really to compare the experiences from many sources and to look for elements of agreement, and then practice for yourself to improve your own faculty of insight to reach toward having your own first-hand metaphysical experience. In the meantime, give teachings a fair chance. It doesn't mean believing them outright, but if, after due diligence, teachings don't seem to stand up, then you can test out different ones instead. But for today, let me finish up with a quick mention about temple support and news updates about the availability of meditation teaching in English. For those of you who like to visit the temple in Azusa to bring offerings, please be informed that despite moving to less restrictive tiers in California's reopening blueprint, we continue to use the new temple site for temple offering in the parking lot next to the main temple building between 10 and 11 a.m. each day. If you have trouble with the passcode on the gate or wish to visit at a different time, please call Jenny on 562-716-2961. There will be a monk on standby in PPE to receive the offering and give a short blessing for visitors. English-speaking monks will be on duty on Wednesdays and Saturdays. A short ceremony for 5 precepts, meditation and a blessing are given on the weekends starting at 10:45 a.m. Needless to say, the whole temple would like to rejoice in the merits of all continuing to take the opportunity to support the temple in this way. Meditation is particularly valuable in this COVID era to cope with the social distancing. In this respect, here at the temple, although there are still no face-to-face teaching sessions for the interim, you can continue to access Dhamma teachings in English at the YouTube channel called Peace Point Meditation or the Facebook page of Peace Point Meditation. For aficionados of Zoom meetings, another way you can access Peace Point content is to join the Zoom meeting ID 970-1192-2337. The meeting passcode is 072. But bear in mind there is no way to pause or replay the media on Zoom for those of you who are trying to take notes. For those of you who have been following my talks, you may be interested to subscribe to a YouTube channel which I set up in my own name, which you can find by searching for Phra Nicholas Thanissaro on YouTube, where I've uploaded more than 100 clips of meditations, Dhamma talks, funeral homages, talks for children, and so forth. Meanwhile, there are a few changes to the 2021 schedule from Peace Point. Every Sunday morning, you've now got me with live material and archive material on alternating Sundays. Venerable Sopon now appears every Thursday evening. For the benefit of families listening in, there's also a special show for children in English known as Shining Stars. That goes out at the new time of 6 to 6:30 p.m. every Monday evening, with bedtime stories and meditation short enough to keep the attention of younger listeners. Outside of the live streams and on-demand programming, there is the constantly updated MindGem app, which you can download for free, allowing you to listen to meditation and Dhamma talks in English on your cell phone, even when you are offline. So this session, we have looked at the topic of the logic of karma. For my next live session with you, which will, fingers crossed, be a week on Sunday morning, we'll be moving on to look at something along the lines of ways to cultivate wholesome karma. For good measure, I would like to remind viewers that better even than posting thank you or great talk or sadhu in the broadcast comments, you can email your questions about meditation or what you've heard in the lecture to the email addresses you can see spelled out on the slide. Now I'll do my best to answer those questions that you send in on my next session. In the meantime, try to stay healthy, avoid recklessness or complacency in the face of the virus, maintain a positive mood, speak only positive words, forgive others, extend good wishes to others, and meditate daily. Hopefully, as a result of today's session, you will now be able to have a clearer understanding of the way karma works so that you can avoid jeopardy and make better decisions in your life. So for today, this is me, Phra Nicholas Thanissaro, signing off for this session. So long, folks, and stay safe.